The arrival of the Distant Hope. The Distant Hope emerged from the shimmering veil of hyperspace, its sleek metallic frame battered yet dignified. Unlike the polished armadas of alien civilizations that dominated the galaxy, this ship bore the scars of countless battles, a testament to humanity's relentless will to survive. Captain Maya Voss stood on the bridge, her sharp green eyes scanning the void. Behind her, the hum of ancient yet reliable technology filled the air, a symphony of innovation cobbled together with desperate ingenuity. "Status report," she commanded, her voice steady but tinged with anticipation. Lieutenant Aaron Cole, the ship's tactical officer, swiveled his chair toward her. "All systems operational, Captain. We've exited hyperspace right on the edge of the Anaxet Expanse, as planned." Maya nodded. The Anaxet Expanse was a region known for its treacherous gravitational anomalies, a place most ships avoided at all costs. But for the crew of the Distant Hope, it was their best shot at staying hidden. They had ventured far beyond the boundaries of the Galactic Accord, into the territory of the Kryn Dominion, a ruthless alien empire infamous for its conquests. "We shouldn't be here," muttered Engineer Zara Lynn, her voice barely audible over the hum of the engines. She was the youngest member of the crew, her nervous energy contrasting sharply with the hardened resolve of her comrades. "We're here because no one else dared to be," Maya replied, her tone firm. "The Council gave up on the outer colonies, but we haven't. If the Kryn are building a new weapon out here, we'll find it, and we'll stop it." A fateful encounter. As the Distant Hope crept through the void, its sensors detected a faint signal. At first, it was little more than a whisper in the static, but as the ship drew closer, it resolved into a steady pulse. "Captain, we're picking up something unusual," Aaron reported, his hands dancing over the console. "It's a transmission, encoded in an old Terran frequency." Maya frowned. "Patch it through." The bridge speakers crackled to life, emitting a distorted voice. "To any Terran vessel within range, this is Dr. Elias Kern. I've uncovered critical information about the Kryn. You must stop their project. Coordinates attached. Hurry." The message cut off abruptly, leaving the crew in stunned silence. Dr. Elias Kern was a name etched in history, a brilliant scientist who had vanished years ago while studying alien technology. If he was alive and broadcasting from Kryn space, his discovery could be humanity's last hope. "Could be a trap," Zara warned, her fingers nervously tapping the edge of her console. "Or it could be the key to saving billions," Maya countered. "Set a course for those coordinates. We didn't come this far to turn back now." An unexpected welcome. The Distant Hope closed in on the source of the transmission, its sensors on high alert. The coordinates led them to an uncharted moon, its surface shrouded in swirling crimson clouds. As the ship descended into the atmosphere, a fleet of Kryn interceptors emerged from the haze. "Incoming vessels," Aaron shouted. "They've locked weapons on us." Maya gripped the edge of her command chair. "Evasive maneuvers. Prepare countermeasures." The Distant Hope danced through the air like a predator evading its prey. Despite its outdated design, the ship's systems were anything but primitive. Decoy drones launched from concealed ports, weaving an intricate web of false targets that confused the alien sensors. Zara's voice broke through the chaos. "Captain, the interceptors are too fast. We can't outrun them for long." Maya's mind raced. The Distant Hope wasn't a warship. It was a research and rescue vessel modified for survival in hostile space. But survival wasn't enough now. They had to fight back. "Divert power to the forward shields," Maya ordered, "and arm the rail cannons." Aaron hesitated. "Captain, those cannons haven't been tested in live combat. If they fail—" "They won't," Maya interrupted. "They can't." The first strike. The rail cannons roared to life, their projectiles ripping through the void with unerring precision. The lead interceptor disintegrated in a flash of light, its debris spiraling into the crimson clouds. The remaining ships hesitated, giving the Distant Hope a brief window to maneuver. That got their attention, Zara muttered, a mix of awe and fear in her voice. Maya didn't respond. Her focus was on the holographic display before her, mapping the positions of the enemy ships. The Kryn pilots were regrouping, their movements coordinated and precise. They weren't going to make the same mistake twice. Zara, I need you to override the energy regulators, Maya said. We're going to push the engines to their limit. Zara's eyes widened. That could overload the core. And if we don't, we won't survive the next wave. Maya shot back. Trust me. With a reluctant nod, Zara got to work. The ship shuddered as its engines surged with newfound power, propelling it toward the surface of the moon. The Kryn interceptors pursued, their plasma bolts slicing through the air, but the distant Hope stayed just out of reach. Touchdown. The ship landed with a jarring thud on the moon's rocky terrain, its hull glowing from the strain of the descent. The crew barely had time to catch their breath before Maya barked her next order. Arm yourselves and prepare for ground operations. If Dr. Kern is here, we're bringing him home. As the crew suited up, the distant roar of alien engines echoed through the atmosphere. The Kryn weren't going to let them leave without a fight. Maya strapped on her helmet, her eyes hard with determination. This isn't just about survival anymore, she said. This is about proving that humanity doesn't back down. Not here. Not ever. With those words, the crew of the distant Hope stepped out onto the moon's surface, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The secrets beneath the crimson clouds. The barren surface of the uncharted moon stretched endlessly, a desolate expanse bathed in crimson light. Captain Maya Voss stepped onto the rocky terrain, her boots crunching against the coarse, alien soil. Behind her, the crew of the distant Hope fanned out, their weapons at the ready. The oppressive atmosphere weighed on them, both physically and mentally, as they scanned their surroundings for any sign of Dr. Elias Kern or the Kryn forces. Signal is weak, muttered Lieutenant Aaron Cole, his portable scanner flickering with static. But it's coming from below. There's an underground facility somewhere nearby. Maya nodded, her sharp gaze sweeping the horizon. The transmission from Dr. Kern had been cut off, but it had led them here. The crew's mission was clear. Find the scientist, uncover the secrets of the Kryn weapon, and escape before the Kryn reinforcements arrived. Stay sharp, Maya said, her voice firm yet calm. We're not alone out here. The first clue. As the crew moved cautiously toward the signal, Zara Lynn studied the jagged landscape. The rocks seemed unnaturally smooth in some places, as if shaped by something other than natural erosion. She paused, crouching to examine an unusual marking etched into the ground. Captain, Zara called out, I think this is a Kryn marker. It's pointing this way. Maya joined her, studying the strange glyph. The Kryn were meticulous record keepers, and their symbols often served as guides for their own operatives. This marker seemed to confirm Aaron's scanner reading. There was an entrance to an underground facility ahead. Good work, Zara, Maya said. Let's move. The team advanced, their pace quickening as they followed the trail of markers. The terrain grew steeper, leading them toward a jagged ravine. At its base, partially concealed by a curtain of swirling crimson mist, lay a metallic hatch. Its surface was covered in alien inscriptions that glowed faintly, pulsating like a heartbeat. Looks like we found the front door, Aaron said, a smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. Breaking in. The hatch was locked, of course. Kryn technology was renowned for its complexity, and this lock was no exception. Zara knelt beside the hatch, her portable toolkit spread out before her as she examined the control panel. This is different, Zara murmured, her brow furrowed. The encryption is more advanced than anything I've seen from the Kryn before. It's like they've integrated a different kind of tech. Can you get it open? Maya asked, her tone steady but urgent. Zara hesitated, then nodded. Give me 5 minutes. As Zara worked, Aaron and the rest of the team formed a defensive perimeter. The faint hum of distant engines grew louder, a reminder that the Kryn were closing in. Time was running out. "Captain," Aaron said quietly, his eyes scanning the horizon. "We've got movement. Looks like a patrol." Maya turned, her jaw tightening. 2 Kryn scouts emerged from the mist, their sleek insectoid forms glinting in the crimson light. They moved with eerie precision, their plasma rifles at the ready. "Take them down silently," Maya ordered. Aaron nodded, raising his rifle. With a sharp crack, the first Kryn fell, its body crumpling to the ground. The second scout whirled around, its mandibles clicking in alarm, but it was too late. A second shot ended the threat. "Patrol neutralized," Aaron reported, "but they'll notice those 2 are missing soon." "Then we don't have much time," Maya said, glancing back at Zara. "Almost there," Zara replied, her fingers flying over the control panel. Finally, with a soft hiss, the hatch slid open, revealing a dark, narrow passageway. "Let's move," Maya commanded. The labyrinth below. The air inside the facility was cold and stale, carrying the faint scent of ozone. The walls were lined with a strange bioluminescent material that cast an eerie glow, illuminating the narrow corridors. The crew moved cautiously, their footsteps echoing in the oppressive silence. "This place feels alive," Zora whispered, her voice barely audible. "Stay focused," Maya replied. "Dr. Kern's signal is getting stronger." They followed the faint signal deeper into the labyrinth, passing rooms filled with alien machinery. Strange, organic structures intertwined with metallic components, as if the facility itself was a fusion of biology and technology. Whatever the Kryn were building here, it was unlike anything humanity had encountered before. The discovery. Finally, they reached a large chamber at the heart of the facility. In its center stood a massive translucent cylinder filled with a pulsating, iridescent liquid. Inside the cylinder floated a crystalline structure, its surface shifting and shimmering as if alive. Dr. Elias Kern stood beside it, his frail figure dwarfed by the alien machinery. "Dr. Kern," Maya called out, her voice cutting through the hum of the machinery. The scientist turned, his face lighting up with relief. "You made it, thank the stars. I wasn't sure the message would reach anyone." "We're here to get you out," Maya said, approaching him. "But first, tell me what we're dealing with." Dr. Kern gestured to the crystalline structure. "This is what the Kryn are building. A biomechanical weapon powered by a living energy source. It's designed to obliterate entire fleets in a single strike." Maya's eyes narrowed. "And you know how to stop it?" Kern hesitated, then nodded. "I do. But it won't be easy. We'll need to destabilize the core, and the resulting explosion will destroy the facility and everything within a 5-kilometer radius. Then we'd better move fast," Maya said. "Zara, start prepping the charges. Aaron, secure the perimeter. We're not leaving without a fight." The alarms sound. As the crew began their preparations, a deafening alarm blared throughout the facility. The walls trembled as the sound of heavy footsteps echoed from the corridors. "They know we're here," Aaron said grimly. Maya gripped her rifle, her gaze steely. "Then let's show them what humanity is made of." The descent into chaos. The alarms blared, their shrill sound cutting through the facility like a blade. Maya Voss's pulse quickened, but she remained calm. Time was running out. The Kryn were already converging on their location, and the facility's self-destruct system was likely just moments away from activation. There was no turning back now. "Zara, how much longer until the charges are ready?" Maya demanded, her voice sharp as she scanned the corridors. Zara was crouched over a console, her hands working with a speed and precision honed by years of engineering experience. 2 minutes, she said, glancing up briefly. "I've overridden the safety protocols, but we'll need to get out of here fast once the core is destabilized." Maya nodded, her eyes never leaving the darkened hallway outside the lab. The sound of heavy boots echoed closer, and her gut twisted. "We'll be ready. Aaron, get to the back door. Secure our exit." Aaron gave a sharp nod, and disappeared into the shadows, his rifle at the ready. The others followed, moving swiftly and silently as the walls seemed to close in on them. Dr. Elias Kern, his face pale from days of isolation, clung to the hope that they might make it out alive, but Maya could see the doubt in his eyes. They were up against impossible odds, but humanity had survived worse. The Kryn assault. Minutes later, the sound of Kryn soldiers' footsteps grew louder, the metallic clank of their armored boots reverberating in the hallway. Maya's heart pounded in her chest as she pressed herself against the cold wall, barely breathing. Aaron's voice crackled over the comms. "They're here. 4 Kryn soldiers, approaching from the east corridor. They've split into 2 teams. Hold your fire until they're in range," Maya whispered, adjusting the grip on her weapon. "We need to make every shot count." The Kryn were ruthless, their intelligence and technology far beyond anything humanity had encountered. They moved with methodical precision, each step calculated, their insectoid eyes scanning every shadow. If they were to make it out alive, they needed to outsmart them. Maya waited, watching the holographic display of the corridors flicker on her wrist. The 2 Kryn soldiers came into view, their silhouettes outlined by the dim lights of the facility. She signaled Aaron. Now, a rapid burst of plasma fire erupted from their positions, the first Kryn soldier dropping in a heap before it even had a chance to react. The second soldier fired back, its plasma bolts ricocheting off the walls. But it was already too late. Aaron's shot found its target, piercing the Kryn's armor with surgical accuracy. The soldier collapsed, its weapon falling to the floor with a heavy thud. "Keep moving," Maya ordered, signaling the others to advance. But they had little time to celebrate their success. The countdown begins. As they moved deeper into the facility, the lights flickered and the ground beneath them trembled. Maya's heart raced as she glanced at the digital countdown on her wrist. "Zara, how long until the charges are set?" "Less than a minute," Zara replied, her voice tense. "I'm initializing the detonation sequence now." The ground shook again, more violently this time, and the walls of the facility groaned, as if protesting the imminent destruction. Maya knew the Kryn wouldn't stop until they had the crew in their grasp. They had to leave. And fast. "Exits clear," Aaron's voice echoed from the hallway ahead. But we're not alone. More Kryn coming in from the west. Maya's mind raced. The Kryn were closing in from all sides. If they didn't act quickly, they'd be trapped in the heart of the facility when the charges went off. It was now or never. "Zara, I need you to trigger the charges. We'll buy you as much time as we can," Maya said. Zara hesitated for a moment, glancing at the console. "We're about to leave the blast zone, Captain. Once this goes off, we won't be able to come back." Maya clenched her fists. "We won't need to." With that, Zara punched the final command into the console, and the countdown began. The final stand. The crew sprinted toward the exit, their boots pounding against the cold metal floors. Maya could hear the distant sound of Kryn soldiers converging on their position, their footsteps relentless, echoing off the walls. The distant hope was waiting for them, hovering just outside the facility's entrance, but there was no guarantee they'd make it in time. They rounded the last corner to find the exit blocked. A massive Kryn soldier, easily 3 times the size of any human, stood in their path. It was armed with an energy cannon that crackled with barely contained power. The crew stopped short, weapons raised. Maya didn't hesitate. "Aaron, take the left flank. Zara, cover him. I'll take the center." Aaron nodded and darted to the left, firing on the Kryn soldier, while Zara moved to cover him. Maya lunged forward, her rifle raised. She fired a quick burst, striking the Kryn's cannon arm, but the creature barely flinched. It retaliated with a burst of plasma, sending Maya diving to the side as the energy blast exploded into the wall. "Captain," Aaron shouted, his voice urgent. Maya's eyes flashed. There was no time to waste. The Kryn soldier was too powerful for them to take down in a head-to-head fight. But Maya had an idea. Zara, prepare the explosive charges. We're going to use them now. Zara didn't hesitate, quickly attaching one of the explosive devices to the facility's power grid. The Kryn soldier roared in fury as it advanced, firing its cannon at them. Now, Maya shouted. The explosion rocked the ground beneath them, sending a shockwave through the facility. The Kryn soldier was momentarily thrown off balance, giving Aaron the opportunity to take a decisive shot. The Kryn stumbled, its body crumpling to the ground in a heap. Let's move, Maya yelled. To the ship now. With the Kryn soldier down, the crew dashed toward the exit. As they neared the entrance, the blast from the facility's core destabilization sent a deafening boom through the air. The walls of the facility trembled violently. Maya pushed through the pain in her legs, urging herself forward. The distant Hope was waiting, its engines firing up. As they ran, the crew could hear the deafening explosion behind them, a fiery wave of destruction that consumed the facility. The escape. The hatch of the distant Hope slammed shut just as the shockwave of the explosion reached them. Maya collapsed into the captain's chair, breathing heavily, her pulse racing. The ship lurched into the air, the powerful engines roaring to life as it shot toward the sky, away from the crumbling remains of the Kryn facility. We made it, Zara whispered, her voice full of disbelief. Maya glanced at her crew, a sense of relief washing over her, but she knew this wasn't over. The Kryn would come for them, and they'd be ready. They had a long journey ahead, and the fate of the galaxy still hung in the balance. As the distant Hope soared through the void, Maya Voss turned to her crew, determination hardening her features. We've just begun, people. Now, let's finish this. The heart of the Kryn Empire. The distant Hope raced through the stars, the vast expanse of the galaxy stretching out before them. The crew was still recovering from their close call on the Kryn moon, but Maya Voss could feel the weight of what lay ahead pressing down on her. The destruction of the Kryn facility had been only a temporary victory. They had learned something vital, but there was much more to uncover, and the Kryn would not let them walk away unscathed. Maya stood in front of the command console, her hands gripping the edge as she stared at the holographic map of Kryn space. The coordinates they had retrieved from Dr. Elias Kern's data were clear. The heart of the Kryn Empire was located in the distant system of Zukari, a place known only in whispers. Captain, Aaron Cole's voice broke through her thoughts. We're approaching the Zukari system. It's nothing like we've ever seen before. Maya glanced over at him. What do you mean? Aaron's fingers flew across the console, pulling up a visual scan of the system. The Kryn have fortified the entire area. Massive space stations, heavily armed. It's like they're preparing for something big. Or they're expecting us, Maya muttered, her eyes narrowing. We knew they wouldn't take kindly to our interference. But we don't have a choice. We need to get in and get the information we came for. Infiltrating the fortress. The distant Hope approached the outer edges of the Zukari system, the Kryn's vast network of ships and stations forming an impenetrable wall of firepower. The sheer scale of their military might was overwhelming, but Maya refused to let doubt take hold. They had already survived impossible odds. They'd do it again. We'll need to be tactical, Maya said, turning toward her crew. Our ship's not built for a frontal assault. We'll have to slip past their defenses and land on one of the outer stations. From there, we infiltrate and find what we need. Zara Lynn, who had been silently monitoring the ship's systems, looked up from her console. Captain, I've been analyzing their security patterns. We could disable one of the smaller stations temporarily. It'll give us an opening to sneak through. But it'll only buy us about 10 minutes before they notice. That's all we need, Maya replied. Aaron, prepare a stealth approach. Zara, get the systems ready. Once we're in position, we make our move. The crew worked in unison, their focus sharp as they prepared for the most dangerous phase of their mission. The distant Hope drifted silently through the outer edges of the Kryn system, its systems cloaked by the latest stealth technologies. Zara had managed to modify. The Kryn patrol ships passed by unaware, their sensors unable to detect the small human vessel slipping past. Approaching the station, Aaron said quietly, "We'll need to breach their outer hull to land." Maya nodded, watching the station grow larger in their viewport. It was an intimidating sight. Massive, with towering spires and thick armor plating. It looked like a fortress, a place where secrets were buried deep within its cold steel walls. "Ready when you are, Captain," Aaron added, glancing over at her. The silent landing. The landing sequence was delicate. One wrong move could set off alarms, and their mission would be over before it even started. Zara worked quickly, overriding the station's landing protocols and initiating a silent entry. The ship gently touched down on the station's outer docking platform, its engines humming quietly as the crew prepared to disembark. "Everyone, stay close," Maya said, securing her weapon and checking her gear. "We don't know what's waiting for us inside." The crew moved swiftly but silently, exiting the distant Hope and stepping onto the cold metallic surface of the station. They followed Maya's lead, their footsteps muffled against the thick, dark corridors that stretched before them. The station's interior was eerily quiet, with only the faint hum of machines and the occasional creak of the metal walls. Zara glanced at the terminal by the entrance. "The main control room should be just ahead," she whispered. "We can access the station's central systems from there." "Then let's move," Maya said, her voice low but firm. The unexpected encounter. As they neared the control room, the unmistakable sound of Kryn voices echoed through the corridors. The crew halted, pressing their backs against the cold walls. Maya's mind raced. They couldn't afford to be discovered now. Aaron signaled for everyone to stay still, then peered around the corner. Through the shadows, they could make out a small group of Kryn soldiers, their insectoid forms easily identifiable. They were speaking in low, guttural tones, unaware of the humans just a few meters away. Maya weighed their options. If they engaged now, it would alert the entire station. But if they waited, they risked losing the element of surprise. "We need to move past them," Maya whispered. "Zara, can you disable their comms for a few minutes?" Zara nodded. "Give me a moment." She quickly hacked into the station's system, and within seconds, the Kryn soldiers' communication devices powered down. Without their comms, they were isolated, unable to call for backup. It was the opening the crew needed. "Now," Maya said. The crew moved with fluid precision, slipping past the distracted soldiers and entering the control room. The space was filled with glowing consoles and humming machinery, all of it operated by a team of Kryn technicians. The crew quickly neutralized the guards, their actions swift and silent. Maya stood before the central console, her fingers flying over the controls. "We're looking for any data related to their weapon project. Anything that can help us destroy it." Zara was already on it, her eyes scanning the interface. "Got it. There's a secure file about a weapon prototype located on a nearby station. It looks like it's almost ready for deployment." "Perfect," Maya said, her gaze hardening. "Let's go." The final move. Just as they were about to leave the control room, a loud blaring alarm sounded throughout the station. The Kryn had discovered their presence. "Move," Maya shouted. "We don't have much time." The crew sprinted toward the exit, but as they reached the docking bay, they were met by a wall of Kryn soldiers, their weapons drawn and their eyes glowing with anger. "Captain, we're surrounded," Aaron yelled. Maya's heart pounded. There was no way out. But then, Zara's voice broke through the chaos. "Captain, the distant Hope is ready for extraction. I can hack into the station's control system and create an opening. Just give me a minute." "Do it, Zara," Maya barked, her rifle raised as the Kryn closed in. The next few moments felt like hours. Zara worked furiously at the terminal, sweat dripping down her face as she bypassed the station's security. The Kryn soldiers advanced, their weapons charging. Then, with a loud hiss, The bay doors opened, revealing the distant Hope waiting outside. Maya and the crew bolted toward the ship, firing as they ran. The moment they were safely aboard, Aaron hit the thrusters, and the ship shot into the stars, narrowly avoiding a barrage of plasma fire from the Kryn station. As they escaped, Maya looked at her crew, her voice steady. "We've got the intel. Now, we take the fight to them." The shattered piece. The stars outside the distant Hope seemed to stretch on forever, each one a distant world filled with possibilities. But for Captain Maya Voss and her crew, the vastness of space had never felt more oppressive. The data they had retrieved from the Kryn station was a game-changer. It confirmed the worst of their fears. The Kryn were on the verge of deploying a weapon capable of obliterating entire fleets in a single strike. Humanity's last hope now rested on a fragile thread, a thread they had to hold on to long enough to find a way to stop it. As the ship hurtled through the galaxy, Maya stood in the command center, staring at the holographic map that displayed their next destination. The Kryn's primary weapon assembly facility. The facility was deep within Kryn-controlled space, heavily fortified, and practically impossible to infiltrate without detection. But that didn't matter. "We're running out of time," Maya muttered, her voice low. "We can't afford another failure." "We won't fail," Aaron Cole said, his voice steady as he leaned against the console. "We've made it this far. They won't stop us now." Zara Lynn, sitting at the engineering station, looked up from her console, her fingers still dancing over the holographic controls. "The distant Hope is fully charged and ready for whatever's next, Captain. But the plan needs to be flawless if we want to make it out in one piece." Maya turned to face her crew. She trusted each of them with her life, but the weight of their mission had never been more real. "We hit them hard. We destroy the weapon. We do it before they have a chance to deploy it, no matter the cost." Breaking through the Kryn defenses, the distant Hope flew silently through the fringes of Kryn space, cloaked by the ship's advanced stealth systems. Every sensor and every system on the ship was working overtime, keeping them hidden from the Kryn patrols that constantly swept the area. Zara's fingers flew over her console, rerouting power and making subtle adjustments to keep the ship off the radar. "We're getting close," Aaron said, eyes narrowing as he watched the dark, looming shape of the Kryn facility grow larger on the forward view. "Approaching the perimeter," Zara confirmed, glancing nervously at the countdown on her screen. "We'll need to disable their main defense grid if we're going to get in undetected." Maya nodded. "Do it." Zara's fingers moved like lightning, her expertise bending the facility's security systems to her will. A few tense moments later, the holographic map showed the defense grid going offline. It wouldn't last long, only enough time for them to slip through unnoticed. But it was all they needed. "Now," Maya said, "Aaron, get us inside. And keep it smooth. We don't want to give them any reason to know we're here." Infiltration and discovery. The distant Hope eased into the docking bay of the Kryn facility, hidden within the massive structure's shadow. The ship's landing gear touched down gently on the cold metal surface, and the crew prepared for what would likely be the most dangerous operation of their lives. "Remember," Maya said, her voice firm, "we need to move quickly. We find the weapon, destroy it, and get out. No delays, no second chances." The crew disembarked, weapons raised, and made their way into the heart of the facility. The inside was unlike anything they'd seen before. Massive halls lined with dark, pulsating conduits that seemed to hum with energy. The air was thick with the scent of machinery and metal, and the distant echoes of Kryn soldiers moving through the complex served as a reminder that they weren't alone. Zara tapped into the facility's security systems, pulling up a map. "The weapons core is housed in a central chamber just ahead, but we'll need to navigate through the command center first. That's where the bulk of the Kryn forces are stationed." Maya's gaze hardened. "We'll take them out first. Aaron, I want you to flank them from the right. Zara, cover our back. I'll take the front." The crew moved into position, the sounds of their footsteps muffled by the humming walls of the facility. They approached the command center, the doors looming ahead. As they prepared to breach, Maya signaled them to stop. "Wait," she whispered. "I hear something." The sounds of heavy footsteps and clicking mandibles grew louder, and before they could react, a squad of Kryn soldiers appeared at the far end of the hall. Their insectoid forms loomed in the shadows, their plasma rifles raised. There was no way around them. Maya's heart raced, but she stayed calm. "We do this quick and clean. Fire on my mark." Aaron, Zara, and Maya opened fire simultaneously, their weapons striking true. The Kryn soldiers didn't stand a chance. They were swift, but the humans were faster. In a matter of seconds, the hallway was silent again, save for the hum of the facility's power. "Clear," Aaron reported. "Let's move." A glimpse of the weapon. The central chamber was located at the heart of the facility, a massive room filled with machinery that pulsed with eerie energy. In the center of the room stood a colossal alien structure, twisted, organic, and mechanical at the same time. It seemed to breathe, its surface shifting and humming with energy. The Kryn weapon. Maya approached cautiously, her eyes scanning every inch of the room. The weapon was terrifying, not just in its destructive potential, but in its design. It was a hybrid, something that shouldn't have existed in the universe, a fusion of biology and technology that defied all logic. "This is it," Maya said, her voice grim. "This is what they've been building." Zara studied the weapon, her brow furrowed. "It's integrated with a biological core. If we try to destroy it without removing the core, it could trigger a catastrophic reaction." "Then we do it carefully," Maya said. "We disable the core first. Aaron, cover us." As Aaron positioned himself at the entrance, Zara and Maya moved toward the weapon's control panels. The complex interface flickered to life as Zara accessed it, pulling up a series of codes and commands that could trigger the weapon's shutdown. "Almost there," Zara said, her fingers flying across the console. "This is a delicate process. If I make the wrong move, the entire facility could go up." Maya's eyes never left the room's entrance. "Take your time. We can't afford to fail now." The final betrayal. Just as Zara input the final sequence to disable the core, the doors to the chamber slammed shut. The Kryn had anticipated their move. From the shadows, a voice boomed, distorted but unmistakable. "You dare challenge the might of the Kryn Empire, humans. You will regret this." Maya spun, her heart sinking as the form of a Kryn warlord emerged from the shadows. Tall, imposing, and radiating an aura of pure menace, the warlord's eyes locked onto Maya. He was the leader of this operation, and he had been waiting for them. "You think you can stop us?" The warlord sneered. "This weapon will burn through your fleet and every system in your galaxy. You cannot win." Maya stepped forward, her weapon raised. "You're wrong," she said, her voice steady. "This ends now." The warlord's mandibles clicked in amusement. "Then you'll die knowing you failed." With a roar, the Kryn warlord lunged forward, his claws sharp and ready for battle. The battle for humanity's future. The atmosphere in the central chamber crackled with tension. Captain Maya Voss squared her shoulders, her heart pounding, as the Kryn warlord's eyes burned with malice. The creature's towering insectoid form was a living nightmare, but Maya stood resolute, knowing the fate of humanity rested in her hands. "You won't stop us," Maya said, her voice unwavering, the weight of her words carrying more meaning than ever before. "This weapon dies today." The warlord's mandibles clicked in amusement, a cruel smile spreading across his angular face. "Foolish human. You think your primitive weapons can defeat us? The Kryn Empire is eternal." With a guttural roar, the warlord charged, his massive claws outstretched, ready to tear Maya and her crew apart. But Maya had faced worse odds before. She had seen humanity stand against the impossible and emerge victorious. This time, she would do the same. "Take him down," Maya shouted to her crew, her voice cutting through the tension. The clash. As the warlord advanced, his claws swiping through the air with lightning speed. Maya's instincts kicked in. She ducked low, narrowly avoiding a swipe that could have cleaved her in two. With precise timing, she rolled to the side and fired a blast from her rifle, striking the warlord's shoulder. The shot made a deep dent in his armor, but it didn't faze him. He was like a living tank. "Zara! Aaron!" Maya shouted. "We need a distraction." Zara, who had been hunched over the control panel, now sprinted toward the warlord's back, activating a series of automated defense drones in the chamber. They launched from their stations, small but swift, surrounding the Kryn warlord and forcing him to momentarily shift his attention. Aaron seized the opportunity, charging forward from his position. He hurled a grenade, its explosive charge designed to disable heavy armor. The blast echoed in the chamber, throwing the warlord off balance. But still, the creature did not falter. "That's it," Zara yelled from behind the panel. "I've isolated the weapon's core. If we can trigger the shutdown sequence, we'll disable the weapon and kill the warlord's connection to it. You'll have a window." Maya didn't waste a second. "Aaron, cover Zara. I'll keep the warlord distracted." The final stand. Maya engaged the warlord once more, this time using the agility of the Distant Hope's crew training to her advantage. She darted between columns, using the environment to her advantage as the Kryn warlord thrashed and slashed, his heavy claws scraping against the metal walls. Each missed strike sent a shockwave through the room, but Maya's resolve remained unshaken. "Come on, Maya, keep it together," she muttered to herself. She could feel the warlord's presence growing closer, his breath hot and rancid against the back of her neck. Then a loud clang rang out. The warlord's giant arm collided with the floor just inches from Maya's head. She rolled, narrowly avoiding death. Her mind raced. The only way they could win was if Zara succeeded in deactivating the core. And that meant keeping the warlord occupied long enough to give Zara the time she needed. "Maya, now!" Aaron shouted. Maya turned, her pulse racing as she saw Zara standing before the console, a panel open in front of her. The Kryn warlord was only moments from finishing the crew off, but Zara's fingers were flying across the keys. With a final, desperate push, Zara hit the final command. Done. The room shuddered, and the warlord froze, his large body jerking as if suddenly disconnected from its power source. The once pulsating energy lines that connected the creature to the weapon began to flicker and dim. His arms fell limp to his sides, and his posture slumped. "Now!" Maya shouted. Without hesitation, Aaron unleashed a burst from his plasma rifle, hitting the warlord in the chest with pinpoint accuracy. The shot penetrated deep into his armored chestplate, and the warlord let out a terrible screech as he staggered backward. With a final roar of defiance, the Kryn warlord collapsed, his once mighty form crumpling to the floor. The energy that had sustained him, the lifeblood that powered his every move, drained away as the weapon's core went into a controlled shutdown. The collapse of the Kryn Empire's weapon. The Distant Hope shook as the facility's systems began to collapse, the destabilization of the weapon sending shockwaves through the entire station. The weapon had been silenced, but the entire facility was now on the brink of destruction. The countdown to self-destruction had begun. "We have to go," Zara screamed, her eyes wide with panic. "The core is about to overload. We've triggered the fail-safes." Maya didn't need any further urging. "To the ship. Now." The crew bolted toward the exit, the air around them thick with the sound of alarms and the grinding of metal. They'd barely made it back to the docking bay before the station began to implode. The Distant Hope's engines roared to life, and the ship shot into space, narrowly escaping the blast radius of the facility's destruction. Maya watched the explosion from the cockpit, a mix of relief and grim satisfaction settling over her. The Kryn weapon was no more, and the Kryn Empire had lost its greatest advantage. Humanity had won, this time. "We did it," Aaron said, his voice a rare moment of disbelief. Maya let out a breath, turning to her crew. "We did. But this isn't over. We've made enemies today, and they won't forget this. A new beginning." As the distant Hope flew through the stars, Maya stood by the viewport, her eyes fixed on the infinite horizon. The fight wasn't over, not by a long shot, but humanity had proven its strength. It had faced the most dangerous force in the galaxy and come out on top. "Where do we go now, Captain?" Zara asked quietly, breaking Maya's thoughts. Maya glanced over at her crew. "We keep moving forward. There's still much to do, but we've made our mark. We've shown the galaxy what humanity can do when it fights for its future." And with that, the crew of the distant Hope sailed into the vast unknown, ready to face whatever challenges awaited them. Because they knew one thing for sure: humanity's strength was limitless, and they would never back down.